الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه وأزواجه أجمعين أما بعد. This is Jalal Abualrub, Jalal Our website is islamlife.com. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me and my family to produce more than 70 books so far, translation and authoring. Among them I have Tafsir ibn Kathir, 4 volumes of Zad al-Ma'ad by Imam ibn al-Qayyim, and many other books explaining and defending the religion. All of the books are in English. We have, alhamdulillah, tens of thousands of articles. We visited more than 40 American states for da'wah, classes, khutbat al-Jum'ah. And also we visited other countries, did da'wah there. All thanks and praises are due to Allah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The first khutbah I gave was in 1979 in Europe. I was still in Europe at that time, and alhamdulillah, since then hundreds of khutbah, so many masajid. I started the first da'wah trip in 1981. Walillah alhamd. I'm living in a city now close to 2 years, and every Jumu'ah, for a long time now, we have to go out of town to attend a decent khutbat al-Jumu'ah. There is a brother, mashallah, about an hour away from us, and we want to attend khutbat al-Jumu'ah. This man, mashallah, Allah blessed him. He wasn't a Muslim, he's an African-American brother. He became Muslim, went to Medina, studied Islam, mashallah, came back fluent in Arabic, of course in English, has good knowledge, has good khutbah, and he's always happy to see us. So I go and pray behind him because, mashallah, he's fit to be an imam. In this city I'm living in, I was invited 3-4 times, maybe 5 times, to give khutbah in different masajid. A couple of masajid, it's only one time. I know this trick from before, so that if somebody tells them, well, why don't you invite him to give khutbah? We did one khutbah. The thing that we find really strange, that we can't find a decent khutbah where we live, except when one of our brothers, who is a Salafi, I've known him since he was young, give khutbah, or my son, a couple of others. But the imams of the masajid here, if they have an imam, because that's another issue, it's sad that somebody who knows they don't have knowledge in the religion, who makes mistakes in the Quran, in Surah Al-Fatiha, they are enthusiastic to give khutbah and mess up the Quran and Sunnah. If the topic of the khutbah is even allowed Islamically, and to lead the salah, many of them, they don't know how to read the Quran properly, especially Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha is a cornerstone of the Salah. There is a difference between someone who just became Muslim, or he's having or she's having trouble reading the Arabic words, memorizing. That's different. May Allah reward them, inshallah, bless them with knowledge. But for a person who knows of themselves that they lack knowledge in the religion and they can't speak proper Arabic to read the ayat of the Quran or the ahadith, or to recite Surah Al-Fatiha properly, to say, hey, since I have all these qualities, I'm going to be the khatib here, maybe the imam. La ilaha illallah. This is really, really bad. Now, there is one man here, I don't pray behind him anymore, because when he recited Al-Fatiha, he added letters and deleted letters from Al-Fatiha. So I don't pray behind him anymore. Al-Fatiha is a cornerstone of the Salah. Al-Fatiha is a cornerstone of the Salah. If one doesn't know how to read it properly and he's leading the Salah is invalid. To be enthusiastic to lead the Salah, knowing that you don't have knowledge in the religion, and Allah knows how they make the Salah. I don't understand. Sometimes, they do things in the Salah that are unbelievable because they don't have knowledge in the Sunnah how to make the Salah. Anyway, but to have the courage to give khutbah al-Jumu'ah, sometimes to hundreds of people. The first khutbah I gave when I was still in Europe, 1979, was to 500 people. And I kept learning and learning. I started with many khutab I would read from a paper. Then I don't read from paper anymore because, alhamdulillah, I got the experience. And the topics are really very clear, alhamdulillah. Talk about an ayah, a hadith, repeat the ayah and the hadith, and that's more than enough. These people, they're enthusiastic. They want to lead the Salah. Even when they are told that your Fatiha, you read it wrong. It's wrong. Let somebody else lead the Salah. At least if you impose yourself as a khatib or Jumu'ah or even an imam of a masjid, have some shame. Let somebody else lead the Salah, especially if, in addition of not knowing how to recite Al-Fatiha properly, the voice is not suitable when reading the Quran. Anyway, so for a long time now, every Jumu'ah, it's a hassle. Where are we going to go? Sometimes a brother, especially who I've known since he was young, mashallah, he's a Salafi brother. I'm giving khutbah here, we go there. Some brothers invite us to give khutbah, especially at the university here. Alhamdulillah, jazakumullahu khairan. Other than that, I have to endure sitting, listening to a khutbah where they really have major screw up. Not only in reciting the ayat and the hadith, the topics, what they teach the people. If you can understand what they're saying, that is also. We have to endure that and sit in the masjid. And if the khutbah is 45 minutes, Allah musta'an. It's a test from Allah, really. And when it comes to the Salah, Masab al-Fatiha, then I don't pray behind them anymore. This is a responsibility with Allah. You will be asked about it. Who is thinking this way? The Masajid in America have this problem. They are controlled for the most part by commoners. We spoke about commoners. Who are the commoners? The commoners are those who say we're commoners to justify their lack of knowledge in the religion or seeking knowledge in the religion or practicing the religion since they didn't seek knowledge in the religion. So what are they going to practice? The commoners who know of themselves that they're not fit to give a khutbah or to lead the Salah. the commoners, who in our case in America, so many times, so many places, they succeed in some area of business, they're professional, and they succeed in avoiding learning the religion for a long time, or practicing it, or respecting people who have knowledge. And then you say, hey, now this is the conclusion, the fruit of my effort in life. I'm going to take over a masjid and run it, manage it. Many of them run the masajid to the ground with regards to the proper knowledge, the topic, or choosing an imam who's fit to be an imam, or avoiding all the stuff that we have in America and in the West in general. You don't have knowledge in the religion, so what should you do? Be the manager of the masjid and invite the Jews and Christians to do interfaith. Interfaith, where the Jews and Christians don't give up anything in their religion. And Allah told us that وَلَن تَرْضَى عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُم. The Jews and the Christians will never be pleased with you unless you follow their religion. In the interfaith, the only one who gives up parts of the religion, as I saw, is the Muslim. So this is what they do, the commoners. They don't learn the religion, they don't practice the religion because they have very little knowledge in the religion. And they're saying, the fruit of my effort, I have to manage this masjid because I'm a professional, I have money, I'm in control. And they run the masajid, so many masajid. I haven't seen, let me put it this way, I haven't seen many masajid in America, and I visited hundreds of them. More than 40 different American states, more or less. I haven't seen many masajid that are succeeding financially. I mean, these people, some of them are professional. They have their managers. I asked one of them before, and they have like 25 people working in the office under them, the dunya office. If you manage your office the same way you're managing this masjid, what's going to happen to you? He said, I'll be fired, like quickly. But they think it's a joke. It's Allah's house. I'm going to rule it. And this is what the commoners do. So I want to take over a masjid. And most of the masajid in America are managed and run by the commoners. How this works, I have no idea. The commoners. And they give, if they have an imam, they give the imams very hard time. They tell them what to say in many cases and what not to say. And if the topic they don't like, they tell them don't do that anymore. They treat the imams as their employees, an employee, and the employee listens to the boss. They do demonstrations, the interfaith topic, subhanallah, and interfere in what the imam says, if the imam is suitable and fit to be an imam to begin with. I found that many masajid, maybe conspiracy. I don't like conspiracies at all, but this looks suspicious. So many masajid, many of them in the area I live in, suspicious. They don't have imam. They don't want imam. They can bring this guy, give this khutbah, that guy, this, but they don't want an imam to tell them, you can do this or you cannot do this. Okay? Because most people don't like those who advise them. Allah's Prophet Shu'aib alayhi salam and other prophets told their nations, وَلَكِنْ لَا تُحِبُّونَ النَّاصِحِينَ. Well, Prophet Hud, Prophet Shu'aib, they all came to this conclusion that the people don't like those who advise them. La ilaha illallah. So they don't want an imam to interfere in anything. Whatever they do in the masjid is a reflection of their knowledge and dedication to Islam. Knowledge doesn't exist because they don't want to learn the religion. I say it again and again and again. They don't want to spend the time to learn the religion. They don't know how to practice the religion if they wanted, even, because they didn't learn the religion. And then they say, hey, I'm going to retire from this life by being a manager over a masjid. So I can, teach them and manage the masjid according to the religion I haven't learned and the practices that I haven't practiced. This is really disgusting. Disgusting. That those people who don't have much respect for the religion itself, to learn it, practice it, are managing those masajid like tyrants. Really. Some masajid, you can't change the leadership. You can't. It's in the constitution. Even if the entire community goes out on demonstration, we want to bring the leaders of this masjid down. The leader will tell them, okay, I'll close the masjid. I don't want anybody to pray here for the next few weeks. It happened. It happened when somebody was advised, about things they do. Anyway, so this is what we're suffering here in America. The commoners. What is a commoner? A commoner is someone who is justifying their lack of knowledge or seeking knowledge, serious knowledge in the religion, and practicing Islam and abiding by the practices of Islam by saying we're commoners. If you're a commoner, why are you running a masjid? Why? Like a tyrant, and they're tyrants. They don't accept any advice, so many of them, nothing. You tell them you're talking to a stone, maybe you will be, more emotional with you than these people. They wouldn't listen. And they are doing in the masajid horrible things, so many of them. One of the biggest masajid I've seen here, they have almost more money than any other masjid I saw. Very few of the masajid here are financially are in good shape. So many of them, they keep begging for money every week. Anyway, that masjid, they bring the Jewish and Christian children into the masjid to associate and socialize with their Muslim friends. Right? If they grow up with the Jews and Christians being their friends since they were young, they will learn to love the people who don't love them. And even if the Jews and Christians may be acquainted with some Muslims, they grow up and live in this community, they will turn against Islam and Muslims very quickly because they will never agree to accept us, the Muslims, unless and until we follow their religion, and it's not going to happen, so it's not going to happen. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So the commoners are running the masajid. It's horrible. So many masajid are in very bad shape. The teaching in so many masajid doesn't exist. I was invited in some masajid, and when I go to a new masjid, I read from Riyadh al-Salihin, a book that Muslims love, and they should, by Imam al-Nawawi, rahimahullah. I remember one masjid that I used to give some classes from Riyadh al-Salihin. It was a big masjid with chandeliers all over, very bright. And so the servant of the masjid, whose job is just to clean and turn the lights off, he did it over the span of maybe 4 or 5 days. He would turn that light off. We're given a class in the masjid after the salah. Next day, that and that. The other day, that and that. What remained was this one. And one day he came and turned it off while we're sitting. Then I said to the brothers, let's go back to our homes and give classes there. So what is the message that is being taught and delivered at the Masajid? Commoners, we love Christians and Jews, interfaith. One imam of a masjid who's a tyrant, all his khutbah, and I attended a number of them because I didn't have any other choice. Let's feed the homeless. Let's buy clothes for the homeless. Let's homeless the homeless. The homeless, the homeless, the homeless. Okay, then what? So we are suffering in America. Very few masajid here are managed and run by people who deserve to be managers and leaders. Very few. There are very few masajid in America where the imam teaches really the Quran and Sunnah and the way of Salaf al-Salih. Very few, as compared to the number of masajid in the thousands here. We have, years ago, the number was 11,000 masjid. We have a lot more than 11,000 masjid and musalla, big and small. So most of them, they don't have imams, or the imams are not fit to be imams. And the leadership is tyrants. They run the masjid, whatever comes to their mind. Halal, haram. They don't know about the religion to begin with. How can they justify their actions by saying, well, there is an ayah, there is an hadith? They don't have it. And every week I have to struggle where we're going to go for Jumu'ah. I haven't been invited here to give khutbah al-Jumu'ah but a few times, like I mentioned. And I never asked for khutbah al-Jumu'ah, by the way. It's a responsibility. But when I am asked, I'll say yes, alhamdulillah, to help the Muslims understand the religion, alhamdulillah. But it's like really a disaster here. And then, let me end with this. And then, when you talk to those leaders of the masajid who run the masajid as tyrants, they won't listen to advice. They do whatever comes to their mind. Halal, haram, who cares? Halal, haram, who cares? In a masjid, I was, after praying Jum'ah, I saw Christians and Jews coming inside the masjid where the men were sitting. We just finished khutbah to Jum'ah and the salah. Somebody who gave khutbah is not fit maybe to clean the masjid, but I found khutbah Jum'ah, I said. Then his wife came inside the men's hall, salah, and brought some Jewish and Christian men and women inside the masjid, mingling. That was the last time I went to that masjid. So what is the message that these masajid are giving? It's very tough. So they are tyrants. They don't listen to advice. They don't rule by what Allah has revealed. Especially since they don't know how to rule by what Allah has revealed, because they haven't really studied what Allah has revealed. Why are you here? In our countries, those rulers, they are tyrants, there's this and that. Really? You are a ruler here. You are a king here. You are an emir, a president, and you don't rule by what Allah has revealed. Why are you angry with them? You're a tyrant. And maybe if Allah gave them the opportunity to rule in those countries, they will be as bad as those who don't rule by what Allah has revealed, because they haven't been ruling by what Allah has revealed here. Inshallah, I'm thinking with some brothers to open a da'wah center here, and we're going to work very hard to raise funds, because people don't want us to have access to the masajid to teach. I know that for a fact. I started calling to the Quran and Sunnah in public since 1984 here. 41 years. I don't think I have seen myself anyone who has more experience in the Masajid of America than the experience Allah gave us. So they don't want us to teach. And the only thing that's keeping us from opening a center is the funds, basically. And if we do, I was an imam of a masjid for 3 months. I don't like to be imam, but the brothers asked me for help. And I was given in that masjid, I stayed 4 months. The agreement was for 3 months. I extended. They wanted it. Jazakumullahu khairan. I was given them 35 short talks in the masjid after every salah. After every salah, a reminder. Except for Jumu'ah, I would do, of course, a little reminder after the Jumu'ah, maybe explain some more about the topic. So it was shorter than usual, but 35. And then I made it 30 a week. Some brothers were asking me, the imams before, to come give a couple of classes a week and Khutbatul Jum'ah and ask for more money. You're here doing, I said, I feel ashamed from Allah. I feel shy that I would be here in the masjid and you think I am the imam, that I don't give a reminder after every salah. I feel shy. I would be ashamed of myself. So we will teach inshallah, but we don't have the money. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.